Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 118, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. I have not been on Plurk and Instagram a whole lot lately, but I'm still there. So, there's only so much time in the day. Okay, so let's see. Today is Friday, March 14th. So, yay, it's Pie Day, 3.14. So go enjoy some pie. I will probably not have pie today, but it's fun. It's a fun day to remember, Pie Day. Let's see. There are some new people to say hello to who introduced themselves on the 90% Knitting board. We had Chandra from Wyoming, Jennifer from Colorado, Catherine from Germany, who is currently living in Michigan going to school, Tommy from California, and Jennifer from California. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for introducing yourselves. Let's see. Let's just get into things. I don't feel like I have a lot to talk about, but it always ends up expanding because I babble. But, listening to you guys, that seems to be what you like. You like the fact that I talk about stuff. So here we go. This is not the bag I'm looking for. These are not the droids you're looking for. Here's the bag I'm looking for. First project. This is the one you've seen before. Hermione's Everyday Socks by Erica Luter. And here's how far I've made it. Let's see. Last time I was here, I had just gotten past my afterthought heel. And so I've put a couple more inches onto it. I honestly did not work on this a ton, obviously, in the past, 9 or 10 days since I recorded last time. I was knitting on something else, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But I'm still enjoying this. This is yarn from Great Lakes Hand Dyed. It's her awesome sock base in the OMG Unicorns colorway. Very bright, very vibrant. Lots of fun to knit. And I like how the pattern is showing up, which you can just see, that little bit of texture from the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern. It's fun. It's just a nice, it's easy to knit because it's not a difficult pattern. It's a 4-row repeat. And it just adds a little bit of interest to an otherwise vanilla sock. So I'm enjoying that. I haven't really done much carry around yarn or knitting projects lately because I haven't been out anywhere where I need to carry something. So socks are usually my go-to for that. That's why I hasn't gotten a whole lot of work done. And I also haven't been sitting and just watching TV much lately either. But when I have been, this is what I've been working on. I can't remember. I know I talked about it last week. And I think I may have had it cast on a little bit, but I just honestly can't remember how far. And if I did, it wasn't very much. This is the Morningside Neckwarmer, which, let's see, where is the pattern? I don't have the pattern for the Hermione's sock. It's online. It's a free pattern, I do believe. I think it is. And I'm knitting those on the US 1.5 needles, which is my standard sock needle. Let's see, where is my pattern for this? I know I have it somewhere. Oh, here it is. The Morningside Neckwarmer. It was a Classic Elites pattern by Jared Flood. And so that's the picture from the pattern. Also a free pattern. I believe I talked about this last week, that I did not have the right, it calls for an Aran weight of yarn. I didn't have any Aran weight yarn that I wanted to use for it. So I chose to use my Mega Base, which is my bulky weight. And this is the darker side of Peacock colorway. And I also I couldn't find my size 10.5 needles anywhere, so I used 9s, which obviously made it a much denser fabric than it needed to be, but it turned out fine. I mean, it doesn't feel too dense. It's obviously not going to stand up by itself or anything. The pattern. Now, I talked a little bit about this last week because I must have had it cast on, because I talked about the fact that the cast on was long tail, but it was held double, so you only were casting on half the number of stitches, but you were ending up with the right number of stitches. Then you cut off the one end, the tail end, and you continue knitting with the other side, which is what I did. It ends up looking like a ribbed, from a distance it looks like just a ribbed cow, and it's not, because the ribbing was done with a lot of yarn overs, and it's a very interesting, it was an interesting pattern to knit. I have a couple of little goofs, like here's one spot, basically where I forgot to move the yarn to the right side, the proper side that it needed to be whenever I was doing the yarn over. So there's like a little, I think I have 2 of those, but they're both in a place where I can put it towards the back. So you're not going to see it anyway. I'm not worried about it. By the time I saw them, they were far enough down that I was not going to try to drop down because there were a lot of yarn overs involved, and I knew I was never going to pick things up right in the right order. It would just have ended up looking worse. So I wasn't concerned about it. But anyway, so the cast on was different. The pattern was much different than I thought it was going to be because it was not just a regular old, you know, ribbed pattern. And then the bind off ended up being different. It was a sewn bind off. I've never done a sewn bind off before, and there was nothing wrong with it. It worked fine. It's obviously, you can even see just by the shape of it, I'm not pulling it, and the bind off edge is looser than the cast on edge was. So that, and I did not block it. I'm sure if I blocked it, maybe it would be the same. You know, I could stretch that cast on edge out a little bit. What I'm not crazy about is that the cast on edge, I like how it looks. I think that's a really cool, neat look to it. I'm not crazy about how the sewn bind off edge looks at all. It looks messy to me. It doesn't resemble knitting to me. I don't know. I think I did it right. I mean, I followed the directions in the pattern. It wasn't very difficult. It doesn't match, though. The 2 edges don't match. Now, what I will say is, you know, this edge being pulled in, if you wanted to wear the cowl this way, this edge would stretch out. I would try it on, except it would totally decimate my hair, and I don't want to deal with it. You know, it would stretch out more here and be closer here. So, I mean, that could be nice for not letting air go down. Or if you want to do it the other way and have it a little bit more drapey at the top, you could wear the closer edge down here and have it, you know, be a little bit drapier. Honestly, looking at the pattern pictures, it almost looks like the one that the woman is wearing was worn with the stretchier edge on the top, and the one that the guy's wearing was worn with the tighter edge at the top. Now, whether or not that's the case, I don't know, because maybe theirs did not turn out in the same way mine did. I don't know. Totally different yarn that they used, too. It was a cashmere yarn, 100% cashmere, so definitely going to have different drape than a merino. I like it. I'm not sure how much wear I will really get out of it. I mean, it actually fits me very nice because it's not nearly as long. Let's see. This was supposed to end up being finished measurement. Well, maybe. The woman's slouchy neck warmer. See, I don't understand what the difference was. The woman's slouchy neck warmer was supposed to be 23.5 inches wide, 6.5 inches tall. The men's 22 inches wide, 4.75 inches tall, and with a stand-up collar. Now, what did I use? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The men's was calling for a US size 8. The woman's used a size 10. So that would have made a drapier fabric using the correct yarn and everything. I don't know. I feel like mine just kind of came out somewhere in the between there because it's definitely not 6.5 inches wide. I don't even know how wide it is. Let me see if I can find a ruler. But it's also taller than 4.5. It's, I'm going to say like almost 5. Just under 5 inches tall. So, I don't know. It's fine. I may just end up using it kind of as a sample on my table. It shows anytime I have Mega with me, which I will not have Mega with me. Probably until later this summer I might do some. But anyway, it's finished, and it was actually a very relaxing knit because the pattern is only a 2-row repeat. I could sit, and when I was watching TV, that was mostly what I was working on this week because it was just, I needed a different project to work on than the ones I had been working on. So, okay, cast that on, finish that, it's done. Oh, the other thing that I cast on, this is sort of funny. I did not work at all on the Dateline cowl. It got no love this week, nor did my Heatwave socks. And I have not knit an Afghan square, that log cabin Afghan squares I was doing. I haven't done one of those in a really long time. I may have to throw one in here sooner or later. But anyway, what I did do is I cast on this. This is the Age of Brass and Steam, which is a shawl. And I've knit this before, actually, once before. The reason I cast this on is because I have this yarn. Okay, here's one of the balls. It's Schuller and Stahl Limbo Color, which this is some of the very first yarn I ever purchased at my local yarn store, yarn shop, back probably, I would say around this time in 2007, because that was around the time that I really got into knitting, and I found that store. It was like 10 minutes from my house, 5 minutes from my house, and it was really easy to go to, and this was some of the first yarn I bought. It was obviously, I believe this is a discontinued yarn, I'm pretty sure. The little red line is something that Bonnie always did whenever it was on being discontinued and getting rid of it half price. Or she just was getting rid of it at half price for whatever reason. So, but I'm pretty sure after all this time, this is probably a discontinued yarn. But I purchased 5 balls of it because I love these colors. And this is really reminiscent actually of the yarn that I used for those socks I made Christopher last year. Similar coloring, and I just love the way it knits up. I have swatched with this yarn I don't know how many times, and I love the way it turns out. I love the way the colors flow, and I have cast on several projects with this yarn. I have cast on some design projects with this yarn, and it just never clicks for me. I don't end up liking the project. So anyway, this yarn, it's just been sitting in a bin down there, down at the very bottom for ages and ages and ages and ages. And I look at it every once in a while. Every once in a while, Babette goes in and pulls a ball of it out for me. Says, hey, knit this. And I think that's actually how I spotted it this time. There was a ball that had been rolled out onto the floor. She doesn't hurt it. She just likes to play with it. I think she hopes she can make room for herself in one of those bins, which I've got them pretty much blocked off. She can't. But she did manage to get a ball of this out for me. And so I thought, oh, I want to knit you. I want to make something out of you. And this is actually the same skein, you can tell because it's all wound into a ball, that I have used a billion times already to try to make things. And so I started just generically knitting I wanted to make an elongated shawl, not a triangle shawl. So I just started doing my own thing, which is something else that I've done with the same yarn a billion times. And it was turning out to be a really weird, wonky shape. And so this morning, I was up super early this morning. I decided, you know what, I'm going to rip it out because I was probably really no farther than I am on here now. So I ripped it out and I thought, you know what, the heck with this. I'm not going to try to just do my own thing. And I wanted just a plain, simple shawl pattern, an elongated one. And that was when I started going through the patterns and I remembered the Age of Brass and Steam. And I thought this could be perfect because I really don't want a lot of decorative stitches in it. And if you can see, there's, the Age of Brass and Steam has these garter stitch and eyelet rows every so often, and I just got past the first one. Let me see if I can. There, you can see it a little bit better there. I don't know what that is, but okay. Anyway, so you can kind of see, but that's really it, and those only happen once every 20 some rows, I think. So I think that'll be perfect because I'll be able to see the pretty colors in the yarn, and it actually is the right weight yarn for the pattern. It's a DK weight yarn. Calls for that in the pattern. I'm knitting it on US 7s instead of US 8s. The pattern calls for 8s. I would show you the pattern, but I don't have it printed out. I have it on my tablet. Let me see if I can, it should still be up actually. Yeah, it's the Age of Brass and Steam Kerchief, version 2, by Orange Flower Patterns. I believe her name is, did I write it down? Sketchbook. That's her username on Ravelry. I believe her name's Karen. But the pattern is published under Orange Flower Yarns. And, I mean, this is kind of what it looks like. I don't know, you're probably not able to see very much of it. But, I mean, it's just a really simple nice stockinette pattern with those little eyelet rows every so often. And honestly, you can make it as big as you want. So I'm gonna see how far I get with the pattern, how much yarn I use, and how big it is. I may end up making it bigger and use more yarn because I would really, really love to just use this yarn up and be done with it instead of always seeing it in my stash and wanting to make something and failing repeatedly. So anyway, so this is underway and I'm hopeful that it will be a success and I won't have to find something else to do with this yarn because I really, really like the yarn. Okay, so that's all the knitting I did this week. Still no spinning. Just haven't gotten there yet. I keep looking at my spinning wheel though and thinking I really should change your drive band. I forget where I was. It must have been on the do you spin with a plan thread on the 90% knitting Ravelry group. And I made the comment about wishing I had a third wheel that I could just use for like a I forget what the project was now. Let me look at this really quick and see if I can find it. I don't know. I have 2 wheels. I don't need a third wheel. But what the heck was the project that I was talking about on there? Sorry. Oh, to spin like a large quantity of yarn. Because they were somebody was talking about spinning sweater quantities of yarn. And that was when I said I wish I had a third wheel to dedicate just to really large spinning projects like that, because I know I will never sit and just do one huge spinning project like that. But I hate to tie up either one of my other wheels doing that, because a lot of times I spin on one and I ply on the other, because my Sidekick I have the bulky flyer for the Sidekick, so I like to be able to ply on that wheel because I can usually get everything on there instead of having to break my plied yarn up onto separate bobbins. So that was my thought process for that. If I had a third wheel, I could spin big projects, but that's silly. I don't need a third wheel. I'd like a third wheel, but don't really need one. There are so many other things that I need more than a third wheel. Okay. Anyhow, talking about threads on the board, that thread is still up. I started a new thread this week, and there hasn't been a lot of activity on it, so hopefully there will be after we talk here. I said, what are your favorite Etsy and Big Cartel-ish kind of shops? You know, like shops where there's, you know, online shops where there's handmade stuff. And I know Etsy and Big Cartel are the biggest ones. I can't remember what's the other one. Something Artfire. It's Artfire. I've never shopped much on Artfire. But anyway, what are your favorite shops? And I'm not talking just yarny shops. I mean, we all know tons of those, and you know, I have all my favorites, which you hear me talk about a lot because I use a lot of other people's yarns as well as my own, so you hear me talk about those. But I'm really looking for like other stuff. I mean, it can be knit related. And this is completely self-serving because I was on Etsy for something. I forget what I was looking for not long ago. And I started going through my favorite shops. So a lot of my shops that I have in favorites are kind of defunct now. The people are either not, you know, doing things anymore. Like the shop that I got this ring from a couple of years ago, it was called Roots Jewelry, and she's not on there at all anymore. I don't even think she has any online shop anywhere. She went off to do something else. But her jewelry was beautiful, and jewelry is one of the things I love buying online on those kind of stores. And just like, yeah, I would say I buy a lot of jewelry. Anyway, so I started this thread. I would just love to hear some of your favorite non-yarn Big Cartel and Etsy shops. Some of mine, like actually I'm wearing some of the stuff that I bought. These earrings I got from, I think it's called Knit Check Shack. And I cannot remember her username. I know she's on Plurk, but they're just little amber earrings that I bought a while ago. And they're so cute, and they kind of went with my outfit today, so I put them on. But they, like I said, jewelry. I love getting jewelry from Etsy and Big Cartel. Mostly Etsy. I haven't really found any Big Cartel shops with jewelry yet. Let's see. What's another one? Oh, Nicholas and Felice. I've talked about them before. I like them for shawl pins. They make these really awesome lightweight aluminum shawl pins and hair You can use them for your hair too. This is the only one I own, but I've purchased several for gifts for other people. Their stuff's just awesome. What are some other ones? Oh, Heatherly Designs. I don't have anything that I'm wearing by Heatherly Designs, but that's another shop. She's got really cool jewelry. I love her shop for that. The necklace that I'm wearing actually is from an Etsy shop. It's just called Wyanne, W-Y-A-N-N-E. She does not have a lot of jewelry in there right now, but she's also an artist. I think she's primarily maybe an artist, but you might have remembered seeing some of these prints I have that were hers when I had my room arranged the other way. This is one of them, and this big one is one of them. I still have them in the plastic because I've never actually gotten frames, and I don't want them to get dirty. But I just love her artwork. It's cool. It's really pretty, you know, the multimedia kind of artwork. So hers is nice, but she does some jewelry too. And her shop, she actually has a gallery, and it's right down where my mom lives. So anytime I'm down there, I always try to go in her gallery and see what she's got. And I think that's where I got this necklace. I think I bought it at her actual gallery instead of online. But I've bought jewelry from her before too online. So anyway, just really cool things. I'm just trying to think, do I have other ones listed here? Oh, some bag people that I like. I mean, I know I said not yarn, but knitting related. This one is Busy Mind Designs, and I know I've talked about it before. I love her bags. They're really cute. Matter of fact, as I was making this list, I may have just purchased a couple more because she's got these that are nice and lined and they're sturdy, so they stand up a little bit like this. But she's also just got the squishy bags that don't have the lining, that are more, you know, this isn't one, but like this, you know, that you can put something in and then squish it all up and put it in something bigger or whatever. I bought a couple more of those. It looks like she's going to be discontinuing her shop once whatever's in her shop now is gone. So I would really encourage you to go check out her shop, Busy Mind Designs, and she's got some really cute things in there. So go check those out. Another one that does bags that I've never gotten any of her bags because I always miss them, the ones that I want when they come out. But she also does other knitting notions as Tangerine Designs. I love her stuff too. So those are some of my favorites. So I'll go ahead and list those in that thread too. But please share yours, especially for non-knitting stuff. Well, I mean, like non-yarn stuff. I mean, if you want to tell us about your favorite yarn places too, that's fine. I mean, I talk about my favorite indie dyers and their shops all the time, so I don't have a problem with that. But I'm really mainly looking for other stuff. So anyway, that's a new thread on the board. All that to say. Let's see, what else? Oh, no, I'm not doing a book review this week, but I did one last time I recorded. I did the Head to Toe Kids Knit Accessories by Katja Frankel, which was put out by Cooperative Press, and I'm going to do the drawing for the free copy today because Cooperative Press is always kind enough to offer a free copy whenever we do reviews. So there were, let's see, how many? I have to get back to the thread now because I went to the other one. Let me see. Head to Toe ebook drawing. There was 54 posts, so 53 responses. And so I will do a random drawing from 2 to 54. And it's number 46. So who is number 46? Number 46 is Merete Q, M-E-R-E-T-E-Q. Her picture is adorable. She is from Denmark. So Merete, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but that you are the winner. So congratulations. And the question I asked for this, let me go back so I can read the actual question. Because remember, I always ask a question for you to answer. To be in a drawing. I said, thinking of your childhood, what one garment pops into your mind that you wore? Why is it memorable to you? It could be one you loved or one you despise. If you've got a picture of it, that would be great. If you want to share it, feel free to post it in your entry. And if you can't remember anything, tell us something now that you wish you would have had to wear as a kid. And I was mainly going with the kid theme since it was a kid-themed knitwear book. So let's see. Merete, what was her answer? Let me find it again. I made most of my own clothes from the age of 10 to 14. Some of them were quite nice, but some of them were absolutely hideous. So, well, I can understand that. Sometimes I remember sewing. I was a little older when I started sewing some clothes for myself, but some of them were not great. I remember some of them now. Matter of fact, I know somewhere I've probably got a picture of this one dress that I made like my senior year of high school, and it ended up being too small, but I was bound and determined I was going to wear it. It was not all that flattering. But actually, my answer to this question, and I'm going to embed a picture of it here in a minute, is a dress that my mom made me when I was little. My mom sewed a lot of my clothes, which it sounds like a lot of people had mothers who were seamstresses back in the late 60s, early 70s, that era, which would be my era. But my mom made me a lot of my clothes, especially, I would say, up through probably mid-elementary school. After that, I think I started getting a little more picky about my clothes. Plus, that was the age of those hideous polyester fabrics that nobody really, I don't think, wanted to wear. But it was also a time when making your own clothes or making clothes for your family was affordable. It was like way more affordable than going out and buying clothes, which is so not the case these days, I don't think. Not generally speaking anyway. It ends up costing just as much, if not more, depending on what fabric you're buying and patterns. I mean, patterns are crazy expensive compared to what they used to be. But anyway, for first grade, my mom made this dress, and I think I wore it on the first day of first grade. Excuse me. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what this picture was. And I'll put it in here. And it was just this cute little dress that made me look like a flower. I had such long hair then. The long hair was gone by second grade because my mom got really tired of having to try to get the knots out of my long curly hair every day after school. So yeah, I had short hair by second grade. She was still sewing my clothes because I can remember my school picture from second grade, and it was this red, white, and blue polyester getup. Yeah. Anyway, that is the one dress that I think of back to whenever I think of with fond memories of the clothes that I had as a kid. So anyway, thanks to everybody who participated in that, especially those of you who were able to come up with pictures and showed us. That was great. Thank you. So, okay. I think that's actually everything I have in the 90% part for the podcast today. Let's think about 10%. We had daylight savings time last week. We moved the clocks ahead an hour, which is actually my preference. When I was younger, I used to hate it, but now I actually like it because I love having the extra daylight during the day, and there's just something about that switch that it puts me in a much better mood. I function better. I don't miss that hour. I'm good because I just adjust. I go to bed a little bit earlier to get it right. So anyway, spring is right around the corner. Next week, March 20th, will be the vernal equinox, so yay for that. You know what? It's funny, we had such beautiful weather for a few days. I mean, it was like up in the 50s and 60s, and then we had that freakish day this week where it plummeted. Freezing cold. We were supposed to get snow. We did not really get much snow here. We got a lot of rain, though. I'm trying to remember, was it Tuesday or... I think it was Wednesday. No, Tuesday was beautiful because I was out. I had my appointment with my accountant, and I was all decked in spring clothes. I had open-toed sandals on. I had short sleeves. It was great. No jacket. It was fabulous. And then by Wednesday, it was hideous. But thankfully, we did not get the snow. We did get rain, which then froze overnight, and it was kind of icy and gross. And but then, now today, again, it's going to be up into the late 50s, the high 50s, or low 60s. So I'm really hoping that that was it. I hope that was winter's last to us, you know. And hopefully spring will really, really be here for sure. Anyway, let's see. Yes, I did get my taxes done, and oh my goodness, thankfully it did not end up being as hideous as I thought it was going to be. I didn't know what to expect this year because of all the changes that have taken place in my life, and just last year I ended up owing a ton, you know, and this year I'm filing differently, and just I didn't know what to expect. But I did make estimated payments last year, which, wow, that makes a huge difference. So yay. I still owe, but not nearly as badly as I was anticipating. So that's a good thing. Let's see. Oh, recipes. I was doing some Pinterest recipes this week. I made for breakfast one day sweet corn cakes, eggs Benedict with avocado hollandaise. I know it's a huge mouthful there, literally and figuratively. I've never made eggs Benedict before. In fact, I'd never even had eggs Benedict before. But Jim likes eggs Benedict, so I told him I would make those for him for breakfast one day, and I did last. I think it was Sunday, maybe. And they turned out really good. I mean, the corn cakes part would be great just to have as like a side dish, and they were not difficult to make. The avocado hollandaise was green, and you know, like green when it's lettuce and things like that, good. Green with creamy stuff isn't always something that looks palatable to me, but it was good. It was tasty. I enjoyed them, so I would make them again. And then I'm on this sriracha kick. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. That sauce, that really hot sauce. And so I've done a couple things. I know I marinated chicken with it one time for something. I guess we had salads that I put some. It was like one day I made like buffalo salad, like buffalo chicken salads, which was not really a recipe. I kind of did the chicken thing with the bacon that's wrapped around it, which I have talked about before, but I marinated it just in like Frank's Red Hot sauce, the chicken part, and then I wrapped the bacon around it and baked it, and then cut it up, put it on salads with blue cheese, and I forget what else I threw in there, a bunch of stuff, but it was basically like a buffalo chicken salad. But then a couple days later, I did another one, but I marinated the chicken in the sriracha sauce. And then I'll post the link to the recipe. It's basically a sriracha vinaigrette, which was really good, but I marinated the chicken in it too, and sort of used the recipe for the salad as a guideline. I didn't follow it completely, but it's okay. So that was good. And I'm not somebody who puts like ketchup or anything on my eggs usually, but Jim was saying he likes to use sriracha sauce on hard-boiled eggs. And so I tried that too one day, just when I was hungry and needed a snack. So I had some hard-boiled eggs, so I tried that, and it wasn't bad. I think what I like about the sriracha sauce, I keep saying sriracha sauce anyway. I think what I like about it is the fact that it's hot. Like when you eat it, it's hot, but it doesn't have that lingering burny feeling that regular hot sauce has. So it burns just while you're eating it, and then it kind of dissipates. I like that. So anyway. That's pretty much recipes this time. What else? Oh, A Knitter's Fantasy is coming up in a few weeks. I know Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet is this weekend, okay, up in Mars, PA, which isn't too far from me. I'm not vending there this year. I've had people emailing me this week saying, you're going to be there, right? And I realized I never took that down off the sidebar of the blog. I removed it from the Ravelry, the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group Ravelry thread about where I vend, but I never got it down off the blog. I kept forgetting to do it. So I am really apologetic to anybody who might be going there hoping to see me there, because I won't be there. I'm probably not even going to make it to the show at all because I've got a really busy weekend. And that was one of the reasons I had to pull out of that show, because originally I was supposed to be vending there this year, but just personal scheduling conflicts weren't going to make it possible. So I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to get up there at all any of the days, which is sad because I do like to walk around there. So if you're going, please have a wonderful time. There's great vendors there, lots to see and do. But I will be at A Knitter's Fantasy in Youngstown, Ohio in a few weeks, and that's 3 weekends from now. So that's April 5th. And I'll mention all this again in the shop section too, but just in case you're not watching the shop section but wanted to know about that, I thought I'd put it in here. So anyway, that's everything for the regular part of the podcast. I am going to pause here and get all of my shop stuff ready to talk about. There will be an update on Monday, which is March 17th, and it will be at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to see what's going to be going up in that, it's going to be lots of self-striping again. I'll be showing you that in just a few minutes. So stay tuned. And if you're not, that's fine. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And take care, and I'll see you next time. Okay, I'm back. This is the shop news section of the podcast. And let's see, some shop news. I mentioned this at the end of the regular section of the podcast, but I'll mention it again here in case you didn't watch the first part. This weekend is Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet, and just to clarify, I'm not vending there this year. I know I was originally supposed to, and up until the other day, I still had it listed on my blog as someplace I was going to be vending. I'm sorry. I forgot to take that down. I took it off of the thread in the Ravelry group, the Fiber and Dye Works Ravelry group, saying where I'm going to be vending, but I never ended up taking it off the blog, and I deeply apologize because I've had people emailing me just checking to see if I was still going to be there. And I know I mentioned it on the podcast several times that I was going to that I had to cancel out of that show, but anyway, I do apologize. I will not be at Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet this weekend. I'm not even sure if I'm going to make it up there to see the show because of some conflicts that I had going on with the scheduling. But anyway, have fun if you're going. It's a great show. Lots of vendors, lots to see. So I hope you have fun. I will, however, be at A Knitter's Fantasy in 3 weeks on Saturday, April 5th, and that's in Youngstown, Ohio at Cheney High School. I believe the market hours are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I do have those both on the blog or that list both on the blog and in the Fiber and Dye Works group. So check there for the actual details and directions and all that. You can get to the link for the event. So I'm busy working on getting ready for that show. I can't wait. I love that show. It's one of my favorite ones to do. And the show schedule has been updated. Like my shows for this year, there's only 4. Knitter's Fantasy, I'll be at the Zombie Knitpocalypse in June. I'll be at SSK in July, and then Indie Knit and Spin here in Pittsburgh in November. So those are all listed on both spots on the blog and in Ravelry. So everything is up to date for right now. Okay, let's see what else. The March Fiber Club, the Spin Challenge Fiber Club, I'll be shipping that stuff out next week. So be watching the mail for that if you're in the club. I'm excited about this one. I'm excited. I get excited about all of them because it's fun, but I like the challenge for this month. So hopefully you will too. I think it's something new because it's something that I never spent a lot of time thinking about or doing. So hopefully that'll be the case for those of you who are in the club too. And I'll talk more about it probably the next time I record after everything goes out. Let's see. The update. Okay, the next update will be on Monday, which is March 17th, and it's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's sort of a smallish update this time, just because I am getting ready for the show, and I'm working on a wholesale order right now, a big wholesale order. So I'm kind of spreading my dyeing time around between all these different things, and I'm still doing special order stuff too. So it's all self-striping though, so that's exciting. And let me just get started here. There will be worsted, which is my cozy base. So on worsted, we will have Storm Warning, and there are 2 of all of these unless I say otherwise, so just assume there's 2. So Storm Warning, that's a couple of blues and the gray. Dive Bar, which was a new colorway last time. I did some more of that, and this time on the heavier yarn. Key West. I love this colorway. I love the combination of the peacock blue and then the chartreuse. I just love that chartreuse color. It's so much fun. I did a couple skeins of Hijinks, which I know is technically one of my Halloween colors, but I love this colorway. And I thought people might like it for other times other than Halloween, or if you want to grab it and knit something for Halloween and be ahead of the game, there you go. Polly Want a Cracker. This is one of my fun sort of tropical summery colorways, which I realize, you know, you don't tend to wear worsted weight yarns in summer, but for those of you who are not in the Northern Hemisphere, your summer is coming to an end and you're going into winter, so this can be good for you. Or it's just really nice to have bright colors in the winter. I love bright colored stuff in the winter. Okay, I also have 2 new colorways that I did up on worsted. I was just in the mood to create new colorways. I get bored sometimes, so I like to do new things. And I know I've been hitting you up with a whole lot of new colorways lately. I hope you don't mind. But anyway, this one I'm calling Vernal. in honor of the vernal equinox that is coming up soon. It's got some of that new growth green. It's not like the bright, bright greens that you have once everything's in full-blown growing mode, but it's those, you know, those greens you get as things are just starting to thaw from winter. And then there's still a little bit of gray in there because, you know, there's still a little bit of winter. It's actually looking way brighter on the screen than it is in real life. So when you see it in the picture on the shop preview, it'll be a little bit more accurate because that's definitely looking brighter than it really is. And then the other new one is a purple, white, and black. Dark gray, really. Came out dark gray. It's called Voodoo. And I liked the combination and I decided I wanted to do it, so I did. Okay, that's everything on worsted. Let me get those moved out of the way. And then all of the other stuff is on fingering weight, and there will be some on Bounce and some on Bedazzled this week. So on Bounce, there will be Favorite Flannel Jammies. There will be Carnival. That's not the pretty side. Depends on where the ties fall when they're twisted. Sometimes they don't look as pretty. But anyway, Carnival. There's also some Storm Warning on fingering, so they'll be on worsted and fingering. I have one skein of Rainbow Riot because the other one was for a special order, so this is the second of the pair that I dyed. And then there will be one skein of Shadowlands on Bounce. The other one was also for a special order. But I also have 2 Shadowlands on Bedazzled this week too. So that is the other one, and that moves us into the Bedazzled. There will also be 2 skeins of Deep Distraction on Bedazzled and 2 skeins of Vampire Kisses on Bedazzled. Vampire Kisses will be discounted because the rose kind of color here, and you can see it right on the end, flecked red. It almost always does this for me. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, hope I didn't blow your eardrums out. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm not getting it to focus very well. But you can see, like, right there, there's one. There. Come back here. Yeah, I mean, and they are fairly well, I mean, I would call this moderate flecking. When it's knit up, you don't see it as much. I've mentioned this before, but it's there. It's not meant to be part of the colorway that way. So I'm just letting you know. It's there. It's still a cool colorway, and it will be discounted because of the red flecks. One more colorway, and it's a new one, and I wanted to save it to last because I wanted to talk about it a little bit and about my inspiration for it. I have shown you this book before. I know I showed it to you when I first got it. It's a book about gnomes, and I absolutely adore the illustrations in this book. The text is by Will Nien. Oh my gosh, I think it's that same last name that I couldn't pronounce for the Dateline cow person. It's similar. Anyway, but the illustrations are by Rien Portvliet, and I'm probably mispronouncing that as well. But it's just a phenomenal book. I absolutely adore the color, the illustrations. These crack me up. I mean, here's, you know, a gnome getting ready to take his bath. You know, the gnomes at home. And that's the fun thing. I mean, they've got pictures of gnomes doing all kinds of things. You know, what do gnomes like to eat? And then all the mushrooms and the breakfast foods. And, you know, here's a gnome sitting next to a bunny out in the woods. I could show you a million pictures in here that just make me so happy. I have a garden gnome. We call him Nigel. He falls over regularly, and so we always like to joke about him being drunk. But, you know, he's out in my front flower bed. And I've thought about doing a gnome colorway for quite a while, and so I finally did one. And it's called Gnome Place Like Home. I know, it's a horrible pun, or play on words, but I love it. This is Gnome Place Like Home. So obviously you've got the red for the gnome hat. You've got the white of his little gnomey beard. And then you've got the blue of his jacket. What you have also are 2 stripes in the woodsy woodland colors because that's where gnomes live. Now, what's different about this skein of yarn than any other skein of yarn I've ever dyed or any other colorway I've ever dyed is that these other 2 stripes, the brown and the green, and you're probably not going to be able to see it so much because it's been reskeined, but you'll see it as you knit it up. They are actually tonally dyed stripes. All of my other stripes in any of my striping colorways are semi-solids. Okay, I make no, I've always explained that, or I tried to. You know, I don't do super solid colors. I do semi-solid colors in pretty much everything. So, I mean, except when I'm dyeing actual tonal or variegated yarns, then obviously that's different. But for my striping stuff, they are semi-solid stripes. I've never done stripes within a striping pattern that are variegated or tonal, and these are tonal. So the brown stripe has 2 different browns in it. There's a warmer brown, and then like a kind of a redder brown, and then a warm brown but darker. And then in the green, you're going to have a brighter green. This is actually a good section that shows you the 2 different greens. There's a lighter, brighter green, and then there's kind of a bronzier green in there. So anyway, I am so excited because this yarn, seriously, it did turn out just the way I was envisioning it. Here's a section where I can show you the browns maybe. Okay, it's not showing up on the camera as well as it is in person, but it's 2 different browns, trust me. You'll see it as you knit it up. So anyway, Gnome Place Like Home. This is one of those colorways that I've been thinking about for a really long time. I finally got it done, and I'm thrilled with it, and I hope you guys like it too. There will be 4 skeins of it on Bounce and 2 skeins of it on Bedazzled. So you can have sparkly gnomes, or you can just have plain gnomes. And I will be dyeing more of that up. I'm not going to take special orders for this colorway for a good month or more. I've decided that's going to kind of be, I think, a new thing. I know I'm really loosey-goosey with my special order thing anymore. You know, I do pre-orders in the shop now, and so I know that helps get yarn out to you that you guys are waiting for. I try to dye as much of the popular colorways as I can. I don't, at this point, I feel like I don't really have an official way to do special orders. I know for a while I was doing special order spots in the shop, but then once I started doing the larger special orders, you know, the bulk special order things in the shop, I kind of got away from doing just special order spots. You know, if there's something that you want and you can't get it in the shop, and I know I'm not going to be putting it in the shop soon, you can write to me and I will tell you if I have time to do special orders or not. And if I don't, please don't be offended. It's just I do have a dyeing schedule like mapped out, and I have to try to stick to that. But if I'm able to accommodate special orders, which I really try to, I will. However, for new colorways, I'm going to not take special orders for them until after I've had a chance to get them in the shop a few times, because that's the problem. Like when I come up with a new colorway, I want to try to put it in the shop several times in quick succession so that you guys can get as much of it as I can possibly offer you. But then if people start asking me for special orders of it right away, it makes it hard because I hate putting things in the shop if I have pending special orders for it. But my special orders run like 4 to 6 weeks out. So then it makes it like, oh, I can't put that back in the shop for 4 to 6 weeks. Does that make sense? So I think I'm just going to kind of make that a general rule. When I come up with new colorways, I'm not going to take any special orders for it until I've had a chance to get it in the shop a few times. So anyway, all right. And speaking of pre-orders, that's another thing that will be in the shop this week. I'm going to do pre-order listings for Fruit Loops because that's a perennial favorite. I haven't had a chance to get much of that in the shop lately, so there will be pre-orders for 6 skeins of Bounce and 6 skeins of Bedazzled. So you can have it that. And the only other thing that will probably be in the shop, I believe we'll have some Lav Ravs in the shop this week too. I know Emma's been working on them, so hopefully she'll have some done for the shop update. So I think that is everything. Looking ahead, like I said, A Knitter's Fantasy is April 5th. I'm not sure that I'm going to have a chance to do another update before then, and if I do, it may just be a pre-order update. So I will let you know more about that the next time I podcast. I'm still considering the options for that one. We'll see. So, that's everything. Again, shop update Monday, March 17th at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you have questions about anything from the podcast or anything for the shop update, please feel free to PM me on Ravelry at Fibernymph on Rav, or email me through the shop at Fibernymph. It's fibernymph@comcast.net. And I will try my best to answer you. So anyway, and if you are waiting for a special order, I know I still have some hanging out there. I'm working on them. I'm getting them out as quickly as I can. So, okay, that's everything. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.